So welcome again. So far in this particular question, of course, it is taking time because lots of things are being discussed. This happens to be the first question, and we have to acquaint you with the methodology and the procedural aspects of what we call solving the questions. So lots of discussion shall be needed, no doubt about that. I told you lots of patience are required. So first of all, analysis, then degree of control, then analysis of other equity items of the subsidiary, and once we become familiar with it, then we have to tabulate this. Don't forget that this total is known as equity on the date of acquisition, correct? And these items will be used in computation of, in fact, the share of what we call parent will be used in computation of goodwill. Goodwill can be computed easily. Traditionally, all we need to do is to just compare the investment with the share capital which we acquired, nominal value of share capital plus share in capital profits. The difference of these two will give us what we call goodwill. But the point to remember is that we simply cannot go by simplicity's sake. For understanding that is fine, but for solving the question to meet the parameters of what we call examination, we need to be deft in computing goodwill as per what we call IFRS 3. So for the same, we need little bit of what we call understanding of the concepts. So net identifiable assets on the date of acquisition, how you have to find out net identifiable asset, that is the important area. And I'm sure you must have become deft in it now. So share capital in the beginning you will consider. You may say, sir, this is the share capital at the end, because share capital will not change. At the end, in the beginning, it will remain same, correct? So whatever balance is there at the end will also must be the balance at the beginning. Then you have to take other equity on the date of acquisition. It will give you net assets on the date of acquisition. It is 7 lakh. But out of this 7 lakh, this much belongs to actually non-controlling interest. You have to multiply this figure with the stakes of the non-controlling interest. So if you will take the difference of these two, it will be equal to 420. So that means, technically speaking, Parent Limited is acquiring only 4,20,000 worth of net assets, but we are paying 7 lakh to acquire 4,20,000 worth of assets. So that is why we are paying more, and that is why the resultant item will be considered as capital loss, will be termed as goodwill. However, if the resultant item would have been a gain, in that case, I would have written gain on bargain purchase. Is it clear to you? Now, after going through these steps, now the sixth step will be computation of non-controlling interest. Step number 6, non-controlling interest. How to compute the non-controlling interest? Interest means their shares. There are again two ways. One is traditional way, which is quite simple. Under the traditional methodology, traditional way. Under the traditional methodology, what we need to do, we need to simply take into account out of total share capital of subsidiary 5 lakh, how much belongs to non-controlling interest. So share capital. Because share capital of subsidiary company happens to be how much? 5 lakh. And my stakes, non-controlling stakes are 2/5. So 2/5 of the share capital belongs to minorities or non-controlling interest. Traditionally, we used to call them minorities or outsiders as we call them. So 2 lakh worth of share capital belongs to outsiders, or we can say 2 lakh worth of equity belongs to them. Then B, we will write here share in. I am writing capital profits. Traditionally, it means share in equity on the date of acquisition. But for simplicity's sake, at this moment, I am writing share in capital profits. You know, you had made the table earlier. This is the table. And there you had computed the what we call share of minorities, 80,000 out of capital profits, isn't it? You will add it because this profit belongs to minority. Also, you will add share in revenue profits, because computation of goodwill is being done by parents, not by minorities, not by what we call non-controlling interest. It is the parent company which is interested in finding out capital loss or gain because of the investment which they made in the what we call investing entity. Non-controlling interest holders are not related to it. So that is why non-controlling interest holders will simply ask for the total share in the profits. So share in capital profits 80,000, share in revenue profits. Now revenue profits, you must have noticed, is 3 lakh, out of which 120 belongs to minorities, or what we call non-controlling interest. Traditionally we used to call them minorities. So 120. So we can say, as far as net assets of subsidiary companies are concerned, on the date of acquisition, no. At the end of the accounting year, we may say total balance is 4 lakh at the end of the year. Now, if you will look carefully, this is non-controlling interest on the date of acquisition. 2 lakh plus 80,000. Because this is the equity on the date of acquisition. By adding it to share capital, you will get non-controlling interest on the date of acquisition. And by adding their share in the current year's profit, now you will get what we call non-controlling interest at the end of the year. Correct? However, under traditional approach, we need not require to do all these things. We simply used to write 4 lakh. But this is not the way nowadays. In fact, my point is, as per IFRS 3. So now, IFRS, we will consider the IFRS. As per IFRS, remember one thing, all these things are being done, correct, as per IFRS. So we need to meet the parameters of IFRS. So as per IFRS, we need to compute the non-controlling interest this way around. We will simply write first you write non-controlling interest, share of equity on the date of acquisition. Share of equity. Remember one thing, when we say word equity, it includes share capital plus reserves. Just a moment ago, when you were computing the goodwill, where it has gone? Here it is. Here you have written, when you were computing the goodwill, non-controlling interest on the date of acquisition. Because on the date of acquisition, your equity was 7 lakh and your share is 2/5. So you have 280. So on the date of acquisition, equity, share of equity of non-controlling interest is 2 lakh 80. I will write here share of equity. You got it? So on the date of acquisition, you got it 280. That's what I was trying to tell you. 2 lakh plus 80. See here, we are getting directly to 80 here. So on the date of acquisition, now we shall write here plus share in post-acquisition other equity. Other equity stands for reserves and surplus. So in the post-acquisition period, we know that other equity was 3 lakh, isn't it? So out of 3 lakh, our share was 2/5, which we have already computed. That is 1 lakh 20. Or we can simply write here change in equity or reported change in equity. So 1 lakh 20. So at the end of the accounting year, your non-controlling interest as per IFRS 3 will be 4 lakh. Is it clear to you? That is how you need to compute the non-controlling interest. Very simple. No problem at all. Now, final step is, of course, preparation of the balance sheet. In the balance sheet, just have a look over. Where's the question? I will have to pluck out that sheet. Yes, here it is. The first item, you must have seen or gone through the methodological steps as per the standard states that while preparing the balance sheet, line by line items will be added. Intercompany transaction will be eliminated. We will talk about that later on. Similarly, intercompany transaction will have to be eliminated out. Unrealized profits will have to be eliminated out. These 2 points I will discuss later on. In nutshell, in order to prepare the balance sheet, not much of effort is required. All we need to do is to take care of 2 or 3 items. Otherwise, rest of the items will be added simply in a line by line manner. So, first of all, we take up the assets. Under the assets, first item which we have written in the demonstration question is non-current assets. So, I will write here non-current asset. Under the non-current assets, we have written property, plant and equipment. So, property, plant and equipment. And even under the property, plant and equipment, we have mentioned plant and machinery. Now, share of holding company is 10 lakh. In fact, plant and machinery of holding company, when I would say it means parent company. And property, plant and equipment of its subsidiary is 8 lakhs. So, we shall simply combine it, and total property, plant and equipment of the group will be this much, that is 18 lakh. This is known as line by line addition. Line by line addition, correct? Next item is your financial in fact financial assets. Under non-current asset, next item is financial assets. Financial assets. How much is the amount of financial assets? That is 7 lakh. Here you have to exercise caution. Correct? This financial asset, have you used it somewhere else? What my point is, while solving, have you used this item 7 lakh? Yes. While calculating the goodwill, see here it is. We have used 7 lakh. In fact, this was the traditional approach, and here consideration we have written through IFRS 3, consideration 7 lakh. So we have to be careful. If we have used a particular item, that item will not find place in the outer column, because we have used this 7 lakh in calculation of goodwill. So we will cancel it out. In fact, you need not require to what we call do such workings in the bracket. That is just for the sake of making you understand. If we have used that item somewhere else, you need not require to put it in the outer column. We will see later on. This is nothing but intercompany transaction, but how it is intercompany transaction, that I will let you know later on. Correct? So intercompany transaction will get wiped out. Correct? Because this transaction is between these two entities, P and S, which are part of the group. So such transactions which are between the entities of the group are known as intercompany transaction, and intercompany transaction will not find place in the balance sheet. This is the point which you need to actually keep in your mind while preparing this one. Then we have current asset. Fortunately, under current asset, there is only item 5 lakh, parent, subsidiary 11 lakh, correct? So total is actually 16 lakh. Total is 16 lakh. I'm still not tallying it because I know I will have to write more items. Now I shift to equity and liability. Under the equity and liability side, first item is equity. First item is equity. Under the equity, we write share capital. See here once again, very, very careful you need to be. 2 items will require attention. One is investment, we have already talked about it. Another one happens to be equity, and especially share capital. Of holding company is 10 lakh. That is, of parent company is 10 lakh. But I am not going to add share capital of subsidiary company. Reason being is that this 5 lakh is already used somewhere else. See here, this is the question. In fact, this 5 lakh is already used somewhere. Where? See here. If you remember, you have used 3 lakh worth of this share capital over here in calculation of goodwill, and 2 lakh worth of share capital has been used in calculation of non-controlling interest. So that way round, you can say this item is already exhausted out and you are not going to put it in the balance sheet. So while preparing the balance sheet, you need to actually keep track of this particular point, that only share capital of what we call, just wait, share capital of parent company will find place, correct? So in fact, honestly speaking, this is also an intercompany transaction, because out of this share capital, some portion was held by us. That is the reason why I was saying any transaction which takes place, in fact, which is taking place between what we call entities of the group, are referred to as intercompany transaction, and those transactions are put outside the purview of the balance sheet, consolidated balance sheet. Next item is other equity. Other equity, time and again I am telling, stands for reserve and surplus. In this case, there is only one item, profit and loss. In fact, when you write here P&L, from next time we will prepare the separate note, because it's a simple question, correct? In fact, it should be written logically consolidated. I will write in bracket consolidated. Consolidated P&L. In order to put the figures, we will take the column of what, first of all, parent company, which happens to be 4 lakh, right? 4 lakh. And what is the amount in? What is the amount in? Subsidiary column, 5 lakh. Should I add it here? No. Here is very important point. See here, this 5 lakh of subsidiary company is exhausted here, 2 lakh and 3 lakh. One is capital profit, another one is revenue profit. 1 point. Out of this 2 lakh, 120 is already used in calculation of goodwill. This 80,000 is already used in calculation of non-controlling interest. This 120 is also used in calculation of non-controlling interest. However, share of parent in the what we call revenue profits of subsidiary will be added back here. So we shall write here plus share of P Limited in S Limited. Share of P Limited in S Limited, that is 1,80,000. That means whatever revenue profits of subsidiary company are there, our shares will be added back in the what we call P&L to our balance. Our share will be added back in the balance sheet, correct, to our other equity items. So now it will be equal to 5,80,000. This is the point you have to take into mind. Then what else is there? Where is the question? Lots of sheets are lying there. That's the problem. So now again, next item is non-current liability. No problem at all. Non-current liability, 5 lakh. Problem is only with respect to investments, share capital of subsidiary company, and other equity items of share capital of subsidiary company. Otherwise, rest of the things are more or less line by line addition. 5 plus 4, that is 9 lakh. You will simply put this figure outside. Then we have current liability, 3 lakh plus 5 lakh. That is 8 lakhs. Now if I would ask you to tally the balance sheet, it will not tally. So what are you saying? You should say that it should tally. No, it will not tally still. Why? Because 2 more items will have to be presented over here. One item is, and intentionally after one I have written 3. Actually here you will put non-controlling interest. Non-controlling interest you have already computed, that is 4 lakh. You should not forget that. Number 1. Number 2, you have also computed goodwill. So goodwill will also come, but where is the balance sheet upper part? Where is the asset side? This sheet paper problem is there. So many sheets are there that it has skipped out. This is the balance sheet. Here it is. Fortunately, I am able to get hold of that. So first item was PPE. Second is financial assets. Technically speaking, Goodwill is a part of non-controlling interest, but there is no space left. So for simplicity's sake, let us say C. It is better to write it under non-current asset, correct? So I'm writing here goodwill in this case is 2,80,000. Goodwill is a part of non-current asset, but since there is no space left, now if I would ask you to tally the balance sheet, it will definitely tally. So you must have seen while preparing the consolidated balance sheet, we will have to take care of the fact that there are so many steps. The first thing in order to solve the question is to have a very cool mind. To be very honest with you, if you are going to have any impatience in it, then I'm afraid to say that there are more chances of wrong solution than the correct one. So fifth, sixth, so many, and there is of course this sheet. So you can see such a long solution it is. Correct? So many sheets I have filled up before you. I already told you, we are not part and parcel of those fraternities who are interested in simply putting up the slides, reading out the solution. That is not the way to go about what we call IFRS. To have a comprehensive understanding of this particular standard, you need to be very careful. Lots of efforts are needed. It is not very easy task, but once you become deft in it, I'm very sure you can confront any sort of problem which may be tossed up in your examination. But for the same, I have already told you, we need to have a very cool-headedness. First of all, calmness. And once we have that, such traits, I'm very sure things will automatically become easy. It might appear to you that it is consuming time. But if you have paid attention to it, how much you have learned out of it, you just ask this question to yourself. I'm sure next time when you will start writing, you will feel enjoyment in it rather than tiredness. So on such note and piece of advice, we end up this particular session with the hope of meeting you in the next session. Why I said hope? Because there is a chance that I might go out of Delhi for a day or two. So anyway, next time whenever we are going to meet you, we are going to have something more to discuss. So till then, it's a lovely, lovely goodbye and good night from here in Delhi.